compared to Westerners, Easterners are more reserved in discussing sex. So the recent premiere of the Korean series, Long Time No Sex, has sparked a lot of discussions. Can love and sex exist independently? Sex without love is a transaction. But what about love without sex? Does a purely spiritual relationship between men and women truly exist? To put it another way, would you accept that your loved one loves you back, but refuses physical intimacy? Many couples have no issues with orientation or ability and still love each other, yet they tacitly avoid sex. Their relationships are even purer than those with their friends of the opposite sex. Therefore, whether or not you've been in love or married, it's recommended to watch this content about love and sex, about male-female relationships. After chatting, a couple went their separate ways to bathe and watch TV, respectively, then began to comfort themselves. The drama has unveiled the sexless lives of many young couples, a topic many are reluctant to acknowledge or disclose publicly. A study shows that 30% of couples in the East experience a sexless marriage. It seems they don't refuse sex due to a lack of love, but rather exclude it from their love games early on. What kills this behavior, which bears the greatest mission in biological evolution? Let's see how sex disappears prematurely, even when there is mutual love. No matter how complex the 7 emotions and 6 desires are, they can't escape the biological foundation. In fact, love is the result of a series of hormones, such as oxytocin and dopamine. Take dopamine, for example. Only unexpected and yet to be obtained things can stimulate its release. Like when you fall in love with a girl at first sight, dopamine is released, bringing pleasure and the motivation to pursue her. However, once she becomes your loved one, and the conditions of being unexpected and yet to be obtained are no longer met, dopamine activity decreases. Does this mean love no longer exists? Of course not. After being obtained, love transitions from desire, passion, and impulse to emotional pleasure, controlled by hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin. Essentially, the 2 types of love are completely different physiological processes. Anthropologist Helen Fisher categorizes them as passionate love and companionate love. The former generally lasts only 12 to 18 months, during which time the couple loves each other intensely. But afterwards, it settles into routine. Especially after getting married or having children, the passion is replaced by a habit of existing together as family members. The process of sex, like love, is condensed into a short span of time, perhaps just a few tens of minutes, or even minutes. Before it is attained, it is a phenomenon driven by dopamine stimulation in the brain. However, once physical contact begins, the control of pleasure shifts from dopamine to endorphins. The same process is repeated each time, so after a while, dopamine no longer becomes active, and you gradually find it dull. Love can transition from passion to companionship, but sex seems to lack an exit strategy. Companionship requires 2 people to be together, to talk, and to do things. We can look at our parents or friends who have been married for a long time, dealing with trivial matters daily, occasionally arguing, which might give the impression they don't love each other. But this too is a form of companionship. Thus, sometimes arguing and bickering can actually deepen the relationship. Sex is different, particularly in Eastern societies, where being too proactive is seen as desperation and experience as promiscuity. Both men and women endure the same pressures and shame. Many couples also start by discussing. According to sociological surveys, 1/3 of couples have never talked about this issue. Therefore, once the passion fades and they can no longer communicate as they did in love, the lack of interaction marks the beginning of danger, especially when there are differences in needs and ideas that cannot be reconciled. Maintaining a distance may be the only choice, ultimately leading to a consensus on a sexless relationship. That said, even if two people still have interest in each other and can discuss love and sex effectively, two professors specializing in sexual psychology have proposed a model. One is the excitation system, where the brain responds to stimulatory signals by sending instructions to the corresponding organs, triggering physiological responses akin to pressing the gas pedal. The other is the inhibition system, where the brain evaluates inhibitory signals to assess if the environment is safe, if emotions are pleasant, and if there's an aversion to the partner, functioning like a brake. Sometimes, despite the desire for sexual intimacy, external factors effectively slam on the brakes. For instance, psychological issues stemming from the environment, such as long-term stress, depression, and anxiety, draining savings to buy a house, dealing with high monthly mortgage payments, a wife with a meager income, and a husband with a failed business venture. All these efforts can hardly withstand an economic downturn. When overwhelmed by work stress and family responsibilities, there's little energy or mood left for intimate relations. Hence, an increasing number of young people are losing interest in intimate relationships and physical communication, leading to a syndrome of asexuality. You might see now that sex is actually more fragile than love, and without sex, love too can become fragile. How can a stable level of desire be maintained in a long-term relationship? Sexual psychology and other literature offer some answers. 1. Create a comfortable distance. While love often requires two people to be intimately close, even to the point of becoming one, desire necessitates maintaining autonomy and difference, the feeling of wanting. Once you have something, you no longer desire it. Thus, emotional closeness can inhibit the expression of desire. When people maintain their autonomy and differences, it preserves the feeling of wanting. Therefore, without affecting the emotional connection, both partners can keep a certain amount of private space to create a comfortable sense of distance. Never regard the other as something you already possess. Instead, always see them as someone attractive to you. This approach helps to keep the demand stable. Additionally, there's a third-party threat theory, suggesting that allowing your partner the freedom to maintain normal social interactions with people of the opposite sex can deepen the emotional connection by incorporating a sense of crisis, while also introducing the instability of potential third parties. 2. Discussing and aligning on sexual concepts. There's a saying in the field of psychological counseling that sexual issues are a conspiracy between couples, where one partner avoids the topic and the other silently consents. To cultivate a shared understanding, it's essential to communicate to bridge any information gap. Only through open and honest dialogue can both parties understand each other's likes and dislikes, needs, and concerns. Research has shown that discussing sex can not only enhance satisfaction for both parties, but also increase their understanding and connection during physical intimacy. Some may hold prejudices, fearing that initiating the conversation might lead to judgment or ridicule, especially in long-term relationships. This concern itself is problematic. It's possible that the other person also has needs, but doesn't know how to express them. Bringing up the topic addresses not just your issue, but a mutual one. Moreover, withholding on this subject could lead to withholding in other areas, posing a significant risk to the intimacy of the relationship. Therefore, speaking openly is the most effective approach. As introduced in the preface of Sexual Psychology, a significant purpose of the development of sexology is to challenge outdated sexual morals and establish new ethical standards through scientific knowledge, enhancing individual sexual adaptability. The discussion of sexual transactions can find answers here as well. Therefore, I recommend once again the sexual psychology books published by Took Culture for reshaping the freshness of love through sex. There's a belief that sex is a higher expression of love. Without it, love is incomplete. Conversely, only when love is at its peak can it give rise to sexual desire. The love of companionship, devoid of dopamine's involvement, struggles to inspire desire. Thus, bridging love and sex is essential, and novelty is key to this bridge. Couples can cultivate new shared interests, such as camping, traveling, skiing, etc. These activities not only reveal new aspects of each other, but also create surprises unknowingly. Candlelit dinners, stays at couples' hotels, and role-playing. As unexpected rewards, these can stimulate dopamine release, injecting passion into the mundane. Sex, as the behavior capable of providing the greatest pleasure in the natural world, loses its value when people fail to find joy in it, or even start to reject it. What then fills the nights, dispels bodily loneliness, and fulfills the soul. Therefore, love boldly, speak boldly, and act boldly. In maintaining a long-term relationship, daring to explore and express sexual desires, and engaging in open, honest communication with your partner is crucial for keeping the relationship fresh and vibrant. Only by understanding and fulfilling each other's needs and wishes can a deep connection and satisfaction between two people be truly achieved. Let love and sex be the wellspring of growth and exploration in your relationship, creating a more beautiful and fulfilling life together. Happiness and joy never knock on our door on their own. They require our awareness, thought, and pursuit. I hope you find the happiness you seek. I hope we can meet again